Mercedes is considering George Rusell with Lewis Hamilton to work with them in the future. The young UK protege has made his reputation in the game of Formula 1. I mean, the guy is barely 25 years old and has already won titles just because of his hard work and dedication. And now, Mercedes has joined hand with Rusell. Pretty exciting, right? According to the Times, the 23-year-old is slated to make $6.76 million in the first year of his Mercedes contract. This figure excludes any endorsements or sponsorships. There's also the possibility that the Briton has bonus terms that haven't been made public yet. But why George? According to George Rusell, F1 drivers do not become quicker, but rather, they gain experience and consistency. And he expects that his extremely wide window of experience garnered at Williams will help him thrive with his new Mercedes team. Mercedes have signed Rusell as Lewis Hamilton's 2022 teammate after 3 years at Williams, which saw both highs and lows for the driver. The transfer will propel the Briton from the bottom of the grid to the front, where he will be expected to win races and potentially challenge for the World Championship. Mercedes issue. George Rusell has explained Mercedes' early season issues. The Silver Arrows have failed to find more speed and are currently trailing Ferrari and Red Bull, with Lewis Hamilton saying that his car is undrivable at the moment. Rusell did far better in Saudi Arabia than his teammate, finishing 5th. The 23-year-old feels that eradicating porpoising, which has plagued Mercedes since preseason testing, will address practically all of the team's issues. The faster you drive, the worse porpoising gets, Rusell explained. It makes qualifying harder because we put the engines up to full power and go faster down the straight, which generates more downforce and more porpoising. So we practically have to anticipate this issue. And also, in the race, you have more downforce with the DRS closed than you have with the DRS open. So that's another thing we need to consider. We're still learning, which is why we're not quite there yet. But that's why I argued that if we can solve the porpoising problem, we'll be able to address 99% of our problems. Russell's solutions. Apparently, Rusell came up with the idea that helped Mercedes with the porpoising. We'll start working on developing the automobile around the issues, but first, we have to fix the underlying problem, which is porpoising. Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, had a dreadful practice on Friday and then had his worst qualifying session since 2009, starting the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix in P15 on Sunday. He managed to get up to 10th place, but it's still a long way from his previous scorching performances. At the end of the race, the 37-year-old was spotted bent down, criticizing his undrivable car. "I'm not sure how different the cars are set up," he explained, "but the car was undrivable with the setup I chose. But it's my own fault, I changed the setup. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it, but it was extremely unsteady." After a poor qualifying session, he added, "The setup looked fantastic in P3, so I attempted to follow in its footsteps and may have gone too far. The automobile was simply undrivable and made me really nervous." Hamilton's 10th place finish wasn't enough to see him cross the finish line ahead of Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, who had a disastrous start. Lewis Hamilton's views about Rusell. After joining Mercedes from Williams during the winter, Lewis Hamilton lauded George Russell's seamless assimilation into the squad. Rusell has been a part of the Mercedes squad since joining the manufacturer's Young Driver program in 2017, but this will be his first year as a factory driver. Rusell is far from a new face to those within Mercedes. With 3 years of experience at Williams and time spent looking over Valtteri Bottas and Hamilton's shoulders, George fits right with the team. We've worked together in the engineering room before in a number of races, and he sat behind me and watched everything I do, just like Valtteri, Hamilton revealed. He knew everyone. It's been seamless, and we're working together, speaking a lot about setup direction, so everything is going great. Hamilton commented on his first impression of his countryman, despite being unable to recollect the first time Rusell was in the team's garage as a junior driver. "I just remember him being in the engineer's room with us before this year and felt very much a part of the team and one of my teammates," Hamilton continued. Mercedes' views on Rusell. Last weekend, George Rusell had the unusual opportunity to drive for Mercedes. The Briton, who typically sees the back of the grid, swiftly moved up the order thanks to Mercedes' incredible pace. Mercedes compliments George Russell's performance in Bahrain, saying, "How he handled the pressure is the toughest thing to foresee." According to Mercedes racetrack engineer Andrew Chauvelin, Rusell impressed the crew by quickly settling into the car and challenging his opponents. His speed in qualifying was perhaps the least shocking thing, Chauvelin added. "And if you look at what he's been doing in the Williams, it's evident he knows how to drive the car rapidly," Chauvelin told Motorsport. "And he understands how to make the most of it." So that wasn't a full surprise to me. It was more or less what we expected to see, and we were glad to see it. Final words. George is the future superstar of F1 racing, and let me tell you, this guy is here to take his place as the true master of this game. The fact that makes me crazy is that he's 24 years old and has a professional experience of 3 years of F1. I can say that George has achieved what he deserved and has still a long way to go. This kid's path will definitely make him a better racer and an even better person.